Hey there, America. Let's talk about something that might sound as exciting as watching paint dry, but is actually way more important: Medicaid. See, House Republicans are trying to make some big changes to this program, and by changes, I mean cuts. They say it's about saving money and making people more responsible, but critics say it's just a way to take healthcare away from millions of vulnerable Americans. So buckle up, buttercups, because we're diving headfirst into the messy world of Medicaid cuts. Now you might be thinking, John, Medicaid, isn't that just for poor people? And to that I say, well, yeah, kind of. Medicaid is a lifeline for over 80 million Americans, including low-income families, children, pregnant women, the elderly, and people with disabilities. It helps them afford things like doctor's visits, hospital stays, and prescription drugs. Basically, it's the difference between having access to healthcare and, well, not. But here's the thing, Republicans have been trying to cut Medicaid for years. Remember that whole Obamacare repeal debacle? Yeah, that was partly about gutting Medicaid, and now they're at it again. This time they're proposing a whopping $900 billion in cuts over the next decade. That's a lot of zeros, folks. So, what exactly are these cuts and who's gonna feel the pain? Let's break it down. One of the biggest changes Republicans are proposing is adding work requirements for Medicaid recipients. Now, on the surface, this might sound reasonable. After all, who doesn't love a good work ethic? But here's the catch: most people on Medicaid who can work already do. We're talking about folks working minimum wage jobs, often juggling multiple gigs just to make ends meet. These aren't exactly the kind of jobs that come with comprehensive health insurance plans, so they rely on Medicaid to fill the gap. But under the proposed changes, able-bodied adults without dependents would have to prove they're working, volunteering, or going to school for at least 80 hours a month to qualify for Medicaid. Now, I'm no mathematician, but that sounds like a full-time job plus some. And what about people who can't work those hours due to childcare responsibilities, unreliable transportation, or health issues? Well, they could be out of luck. The Republicans argue that work requirements will encourage people to find jobs and become self-sufficient. But critics say it's just a cruel way to kick people off healthcare they desperately need. Okay, so you managed to jump through all the hoops and prove you're working enough to qualify for Medicaid. Congratulations. But don't celebrate just yet, because now you get to play a fun little game called cost sharing. That's right, folks. Under the proposed changes, some Medicaid recipients would have to start paying for a portion of their healthcare costs. We're talking about things like co-pays for doctor's visits and premiums for coverage. Now, I know what you're thinking. John, it's only fair that people contribute something, right? And to that I say, sure, in a perfect world where everyone can afford it. But for low-income families already struggling to put food on the table and keep a roof over their heads, even a small copay can be a major financial burden. We're talking about people having to choose between seeing a doctor for a sick child and paying their rent. And let's be real, folks. When people can't afford healthcare, they delay or skip it altogether. And that leads to more serious health problems down the line, which end up costing everyone more in the long run. Now, if you thought work requirements and cost sharing were bad, hold on to your hats, because it gets worse. The proposed Medicaid cuts also target specific social issues, and let's just say, it ain't pretty. One of the most controversial provisions would prohibit federal funding for Planned Parenthood and other organizations that provide family planning services, including abortion. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole abortion debate here, but let's be clear. Planned Parenthood provides a wide range of essential healthcare services to millions of women, including cancer screenings, STI testing and treatment, and contraception. Defunding Planned Parenthood won't stop abortions, but it will make it harder for women, especially low-income women, to access basic healthcare. And if that wasn't enough, the bill also targets transgender youth by prohibiting Medicaid coverage for gender-affirming care. This means transgender kids who rely on Medicaid for hormone therapy, mental health services, and other essential care could be left without the support they need. This is not about saving money, folks. This is about imposing a specific ideological agenda on some of the most vulnerable members of our society.